back to my channel. This is Rosalind Yukish from A Little R&R. And if you have never been here before, I do lots of different kinds of content, from homeschooling to Bible journaling videos to, cleaning with me and keto, which is what we're going to be talking about today. So in today's video, I want to talk with you about 3 ways that I felt on the ketogenic diet. Now, that's not to say that the ketogenic diet doesn't work. It's working for me right now. I am very much actively on a ketogenic journey, and it is something that I plan to do for the rest of my life. And so by doing this video, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying that there are things that I did that caused me to fail big time. And by failing big time, I mean by gaining almost all of my weight back. And so now I am back to losing all of that weight again. So I went almost all the way back to start, which was very discouraging. But I knew that it wasn't the diet that failed me. It was me that failed me and some mistakes that I made. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The first mistake that I made was trying too many new things at the same time. So when the ketogenic diet started to really work for me, and by work, I mean like it was noticeable that I was losing a lot of weight quickly. And I know that a lot of people say that that's not healthy. And I agree that losing a lot of weight quickly is not healthy, but I had a lot of water weight. It's very noticeable. Of course, I was like, I want to keep this gravy train going. And so, and I was listening to a lot of podcasts, and I was reading a lot of articles and watching a lot of YouTube videos. And so, it was like, try this, try that, intermittent fasting. And so I think the really big mistake that I made was that I wanted to do a paleo challenge. And I did a paleo challenge, and it was really difficult for me. And it started to just awaken a lot of cravings that had gone dormant. At that point, I wasn't having any sugar cravings. I wasn't having any carb cravings. I was not even really that hungry. I was just naturally eating 1 to 2 meals a day and it wasn't something I was trying to doing. I didn't know anything about intermittent fasting at that point. It was just that, my body was using its own fat stores for fuel, and I just wasn't hungry. And so, because I was really gung-ho, and I was excited because so many of my, my symptoms of chronic illness and other things that had really cropped up were just disappearing at lightning speed. I was super excited. And so I thought, oh, let's try the paleo challenge. And that it didn't do well for me. That was really the part where I started to flounder.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
If you're starting on keto, find what's working for you, and you may need to try a couple of things. Don't try them too quickly. Don't try them all at once. And when you find something that works, just stick with it. And when you find something that works, just stick with it. I wish I would have just stuck with what I had been doing instead of trying to do a bunch of new things. Number 2 was that I was listening to too many different voices. Like I said, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos. I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I was reading a lot of articles. I was just consuming so much information about keto just out of my own excitement. I found something that worked finally after so many years, over 20 years of dieting and trying to find something that would work. Plus, with my health just completely bottoming out a year before I started keto, I had had my gallbladder removed. I was having constant abdominal pain, excruciating pain that would leave me writhing on the couch for, hours, 6, 7, 8 hours at a time, just in excruciating pain. And this was after my surgery. This was not before my gallbladder surgery. I was in pain before then. I was in almost worse pain after. I had skin eruptions that left one of my hands almost completely unusable for a time. I was having migraines constantly every couple of weeks that were lasting 4 or 5 days at a time. I was not functioning at all. All of these things were just dropping off. The skin cleared up, the migraines went away, the stomach pain went away and never came back. And plus I was losing weight. I mean, I was just absolutely thrilled that I had finally found something that worked for me. It was just like, it was a huge life changer. And so I was just consuming all of this information. And so, I'd hear on one hand, carbs, no bueno. And then I heard, but if you're craving carbs, just go ahead. And if you want a few handfuls of popcorn, go for it. I heard so much conflicting information. That was probably step 2 of my downfall into getting all my weight back. Now, at that point, I was stalled. Then I started to do this up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, from the time that I got the excuse that I could have popcorn. The third mistake that I made, the huge mistake that I made, was I did not place enough emphasis on planning ahead. So you really do need to plan ahead, especially if you're like me. I'm the only person in my home that is keto. I do have to plan ahead in order to make it work. I have to have meals in the freezer. I have to have stuff that I can prep easily. I need to have a meal plan so that I know what I'm making for me, so that I am not tempted to just be like, whatever, I'm just gonna eat what everyone else is eating because it's easier. About the time that I started to just really lose my footing was about the time that I also lost my plan, and I wasn't planning ahead. I did not have meals planned ahead of time. And that pretty much sent me headlong into the next 2 to 3 years of being on and off, on and off, on and off. I have to say, if you want to make the ketogenic diet work for you, step 1, find what works for your body. Do not get stuck on all of the stringent rules. You don't have to have MCT oils. You do not have to use exogenous ketones. You don't have to have an expensive ketone meter. I use a cheapo alcohol breathalyzer meter that you can get on Amazon for literally $5. Secondly, don't listen to too many voices. There are keto snobs out there that will tell you that you need to use MCT oil, that you should be using exogenous ketones, that you have to do everything organic, grass-fed, grass-finished, that if it's not organic, then it's garbage food. You shouldn't buy any of your food from the grocery stores. Listen, if that's the way they want to do it, then let them do it that way. To be really honest, a lot of people cannot afford all of that. Don't get hung up on all the rules. And then you have the other dirty keto side. They reach for the packaged foods that have a bunch of chemicals and 25 ingredients that says ketogenic on it. Be careful, because those things can derail you. They can induce carb cravings for things that are, very much not ketogenic. You don't want that to happen. Plus, the whole point of keto for most people is lowering inflammation in the body. And if there's a bunch of chemicals in it, that is not inflammation lowering. That has a reverse effect. And so be careful of that. And then the last thing, if you want it to work for you, have a plan. Sit down and plan out your meals. Have foods on hand that are easy to grab, that are, again, 1 ingredient meals, or 1 ingredient foods, or meals that you have made your own from scratch. Put them in the freezer in portion size containers. Have that stuff on hand that is good snacky stuff, the berries and the heavy whipping cream, or the nuts and seeds, or, those things that are going to be, great to just grab, so that you're not grabbing for other stuff that you shouldn't have. Then have a solid plan for getting back on tomorrow. I cannot emphasize that enough. I did not have a solid plan for that until this last time when I went off plan, and I had a very solid plan for what I was going to do the next day. I got up and did it. I got back into ketosis in less than 3 days because I had a plan. Have a plan. If you don't plan to succeed, you plan to fail. And I know that's cliche, but it is actually so true. I mean, how many times has that worked out in my life in just that way? I did not have a plan to succeed. And so I was, by default planning to fail. And I did fail every single time. It's just amazing how that works out. So have a solid plan. So these are the 3 things that got me off track. 2020 and most of 2021 were probably the worst years in my being on and off, on and off, on and off. And I was really more off than on. I am now solidly on. I am going into week 3 of being solidly on, feeling amazing. I cannot tell you how good I feel right now. I feel so good. I feel great. I am steadily losing. I had a weight on the scale and I couldn't get below it. It was just my floor weight, and I couldn't seem to break through. And I finally broke through this morning for the first time in over a year and a half. I have finally broken through that, and I'm just, planning to go steadily down. Go and do the right thing. Just, stay on point, keep things going, stay on track, and I hope that this video helps. See you next time.